Come on in.
Hi.
Hi.
Dr. O'Reilly?
Oh, call me Kelly.
Kelly. Brian Curlett. Nice to
Hi,
meet you.
Brian. Nice to meet you.
Here's my card, my contact information for you. Is it alright if I go ahead and have a seat?
Yeah, absolutely. There's my card.
Excellent. Thank you. So, you ready for the weekend?
I am. Do you have any problem finding us?
No, not at all. It was pretty easy drive in. So
Good.
It's good.
Sounds great. Sounds great.
Got any good plans for this weekend coming up?
Yard work. Boring.
Hopefully it's nice weather. I heard it's supposed to thunderstorm.
It is supposed to rain, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Bummer. Well, I'll be out there anyhow.
Alright. Well, do we still have about 20-25 minutes to go today?
20 would be great for me if that works for you.
Okay. Yeah, we should be able to keep it to 20. No
Okay.
problem. And is there anyone else that needs to be present before we get started?
Just stuck with me.
Okay, excellent. So here's the agenda that I'd like to be following today.
Okay.
A little bit of an introduction, go over the background of your recruiting as well as the Sales and Business Marketing Association.
Okay.
Then I'm going to kind of go into questioning to determine what you're looking for, and then from there I have some things to present to you, and then see if you have any questions, and then we'll go on to the next step from there.
Sounds like a plan.
Sound good?
Yep.
Okay, so is it alright if we go ahead and get started? I'll just go ahead and ask you
Absolutely.
some questions. Or actually, before that, how much do you know about the Sales and Business Marketing Association here?
Almost nothing. So I was just transferred by Quicken, so kind of new to the area. Don't know very much about Western.
Okay. Western Michigan is pretty unique with the sales program. There are only 60 schools in the entire country that have either a specialization, an emphasis, or a major in sales. So we're one of 60 there. There's only 20 that have an actual major. And then from there's the only one in the state of Michigan, and that's us, that have an actual sales major. So that's pretty unique right there.
Okay.
The Sales and Business Marketing Association, it's open to our marketing students. It's open to really anybody, but it's primarily our sales students.
Okay.
It's a direct route to our sales students. Everyone looking for an internship or a full-time position, they come to our SBMA program, meet recruiters from there, and they're hoping to find positions. We have around 110 paid members. 75 of them are active, so that means they come to almost all of our events throughout the semester.
Okay.
They're freshmen through seniors, all in between, like I said before, mainly sales majors. There are a few marketing, some management. We have a couple of finance right now, as well as communications. So it's a pretty well-rounded group. What we do each semester, we have 6 employer nights. Those are our primary for recruiting. Our info night, that's the big one at the beginning of the semester. And then from there, we do a couple of social events as well as some volunteer stuff.
Okay.
Okay. Do you have any questions for me about the Sales and Business Marketing Association or the major?
How long have you been involved with the organization?
I joined as a sophomore, so that was a little over a year ago.
Okay.
I've been in it for 4 semesters. This past semester was my first semester being in the e-board, so helping to run it. And then going into it to fall for 2012, I'm the president for that school year.
Okay.
All right. Okay, so any other questions on that?
No, I think that's good.
All right, excellent. So is it all right if I go ahead and get started with asking you some questions to determine what you are looking to do?
Absolutely.
All right, this is just some questions that I have mapped out to keep it directed and on track.
Okay.
So if you have any questions while I'm writing down, just don't hesitate to stop me.
Sounds good.
All right. So when is your ideal hiring season? Is there a time of the year that's better for you or anything like that?
Well, it depends what we're talking about. If we're talking about full-time jobs, I would say year-round, although our fiscal year ends June 30th, so we want to have everything lined up, ready to go July 1st. For internships, we have formal programs in both the summer and the fall.
Okay.
So, but to a great degree, because we're growing so fast and we are really experiencing good success now, I would say our recruiting efforts 24/7, 365 days a year. We're always looking for absolutely the best and the brightest. So we're always looking to field an all-star team for Quicken.
Okay. When you say best and brightest, are there any characteristics or attributes that you really look for there?
Well, I maybe I could describe what hasn't been necessarily always the best thing, and that is, we spend a ton of money in both just the recruiting of talent, whether that's, placing advertisements, the cost of interviewing, flying people around, but more importantly, the cost of that training. And so what's so critical for us is, one, to find the right fit, to match the characteristics of an individual with the job, to make sure they're going to be around long term, but also almost more important is to make sure they can hit the ground running and find success, early and often.
All right, and what do you guys deem as success?
It depends on the exact position, but we would map it directly by sales performance metrics. You know, we're looking at their ability to go from, you know, prospect to conversion to make that connection rate and ultimately close. So we would look at the same sort of metrics as any sales organization.
Okay, excellent. And is there a certain number that you look to hire as far as intern or full-time?
Interns, our programs are normally, roughly 20 students. In the fall, summer tends to be a little bit bigger, but there's no magic number.
Okay.
And on our full-time jobs, depends on the job, but we've always got a couple dozen openings.
Okay. Okay, and are there any other schools that you're recruiting from as far as campus recruiting?
Excuse me. We've got a lot of alum here. We've got a lot of Western alum, but we also have alum from Central and Michigan State.
Okay.
And so I have been encouraged to talk to those schools before we make any decisions.
Okay, so do you have anything lined up with them?
I don't yet.
Nothing yet?
So,
okay.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah, I know that's some of our biggest competition in state is definitely from State and Central. So
really?
that's, yeah. Okay, and then as far as your recruiting history for you individually, you said you just got transferred in. So are you completely new to this process, or have you done it anywhere else?
I've recruited all over the country, but I'm new to Michigan.
Okay.
Actually new to the Midwest.
Gotcha. So how long have you been in the actual recruiting business then?
Last 5 years, I guess, yeah.
Cool. That's good. Okay, so if you look to recruit with Western and with the Sales and Business Marketing Association, ideally in a picture-perfect world, what are you looking to get out of us?
The best students that you have to offer, and those students would be, you know, that what we've started to wonder is that the kind of experience we want is the kind with sort of applied selling skills, rather than saying we want them to have X number of years being a mediocre salesman doing something else. We're starting to wonder if we've been recruiting, if our vision for recruiting has been correct. So we want students that can demonstrate that they understand the sales process and they can be effective in it. We know we can teach anybody about Quicken Loans. That's secondary, but can they connect with people? Can they follow a process? You know, and are they going to find success?
Right. Okay. Excellent. I think we can hit that very well. As all of our sales majors, they're required to take 3 selling classes. It starts with professional selling, and then a selling skills development. Kind of, it's in the middle, and then the final one is really blown up and in depth. It's all sales, so it's very sales related. Something unique about that is the sales professor, Dr. Eckert, that teaches it. He actually sells that course to businesses, so people pay him to teach that. So it kind of speaks well to what you said with applied selling skills.
Right.
So what he teaches to the real world, to businesses, he's teaching to us directly. So that's what we're learning
That's
in
interesting.
our sales program.
Yeah.
So I think that'll fit well there. So you mentioned you're new to Michigan and you have a couple of alum. Have you done anything, or have you done any other efforts to recruit with Western yet?
No, and Western is the first university we've talked to. We've never have partnered with a school for any type of recruiting that we've done. We've always used traditional media.
Okay. So could you describe that traditional media? I mean,
Well, it could be on internet, you know, job search sites, whether that's Monster Jobs. You know, we don't do as much print anymore, but even the social media stuff, it's quite a bit more expensive than it used to be. And then word of mouth, of course.
Okay, great. So can you describe the interaction you'd be looking to have with our students if you came to one of our events? I mean, you're looking for one-on-one, social, more professional?
Not sure. I would just want it to be effective. So we look at our recruiting process very much like you would look at the steps to a sale. So I think initially we would want maybe a large scale way to prospect.
Okay.
And, you know, I sort of think about that as a funnel approach. So we would want to sort of weed out who we think is a good fit. So as that, you know, funnel continues, more one-on-one time towards the end. But certainly a way to have access to large groups of students at once.
Okay, definitely. I mean, as I said before, we have 110 paid members. I mean, I think we can definitely work well there. Okay, so and then if we were to do anything going forward, I would be your point of contact, your sort of service team
Okay.
liaison, that kind of thing. Is there anything that I can do to make this as easy as possible for you?
Other than just helping me understand what the options are.
Okay.
Having never participated, actually having never been on your campus, it's a little hard for me to have a vision of what might be possible.
Okay, great. So I should be able to help you out well there. And do you have any kind of budget you're working with when you're looking at recruiting?
Well, we're looking at if we were to do something, it would have to replace some of the traditional spending we're doing for recruiting. So not knowing what the options are, not knowing where the costs are, we obviously just want to get a good bang for our buck.
Okay. So do you know kind of what you're spending right now on the traditional stuff that you've been doing?
Well, we're spending hundreds of thousands of dollars, but
Okay.
that wouldn't all go away
Right.
to access 100 students. So.
Okay. Excellent. Okay, that's the main questions I had for you. Is there anything that you feel I didn't address, or anything I should still be going over?
I don't think so.
Okay, great. So what I got out of that, you're looking for, typically, ideally you're hoping to get our best students with applied selling skills. I think that's going to be the number one area. That's what number one, people come to Western for the SBMA for that main reason. So I think we should be able to work well there. You said kind of intern or full-time, you're going, there's always a couple of dozen options year-round, not really specific time, 20 fall interns, and then more than that in the summer. Should be able to work well with that. You mentioned doing the traditional media, sort of monster.com, that kind of thing for your recruiting right now. I think we can definitely help you relieve some of that dollars going there to get in the one-on-one with our students. And we're looking to do something effective. We should have no problem doing that.
Okay.
Okay, so going forward from there, what I'd like to do now is sort of show you some of the options that we have, what I think the suggestions would be to go best going forward to help you with your recruiting season.
Okay.
All right, is it all right if we get started with that?
Yeah.
Okay. The first thing that I would suggest that we try would be our info night. It's sort of the overall, the broadest thing that we have. It starts off, we have a date in the fall and a date in the spring. We do it once each semester. It's info night it's all of our students. They kind of show up. A lot of them are new to SBMA. They don't know yet what they're kind of looking for. So there's a big group of students that come. And then we tell them what the SBMA is all about, and then we bring in just one company. So you get kind of spotlighted as opposed to our regular employer nights where there's 5 or 6 employers and a little less students. So it's more students and you're the only company. Then you give a presentation about Quicken Loans, about the positions that you have, full-time internships, things like that. Then you kind of talk about career development. It's a really formal event. You get a 30 to 45 minute presentation rather than 15 minutes at our employer nights.
Okay.
So I think that kind of fits well with how you mentioned kind of that funnel. Get as many students as you can in. This is the first thing, so it gets them in early. You can work them throughout your interview process, however you'd like to do that. And then from there, you can narrow them down and hopefully bring on the ones for the fall or for the summer that you'd like from there.
Do these dates correspond with the career fair?
They do. We work around the career fair. Again, info night starts in September, and then we do our nights on Thursdays after that.
Okay.
And then we don't have an employer night or anything on career fair.
Okay.
So that career fair is open. And what we usually do is, if any company's interested, we'll do like a social thing afterwards where we have a sign-up sheet, and they usually go somewhere like the Grotto is a bar in town, or Y Bar, it's a bar right in town. Just sort of a co-mingling, just a networking type of thing. Nothing really professional. But yeah, we work right around career fair.
Okay.
So this would be my first suggestion. I think this would be a good fit for you guys. I know we've done a lot of work with Quicken in the past. I know it's a good opportunity for our students, so I think we match up well there. What do you think about Info Night as the first opportunity?
What maybe are some examples of other companies that have done Info Night and what their success has been like?
Mm-hmm. Okay, the couple ones in the past. I know this past fall we had Thomson Reuters. They sell tax and accounting software. They hire intern and full-time. Their interns sell training for their software, so it's a direct inside sales role. I know for a fact they brought that, so they came to Info Night in the fall back in September of 2011.
Okay.
I know they hired one intern and they interviewed at least 4 for full-time. I know they're pretty selective, so they're not hiring that much at all.
Okay.
But I know they picked the people they wanted right there at that first Info Night. And that works well for them because they got the first pick. Every student that shows up at Info Night doesn't have a job.
Is this the
lined up.
first company event?
It is.
Info
It's
Night?
the first thing
so
that
it
they
really
see.
is first crack.
Yep. You
Okay.
get your first pick at our students, most students. Pretty much everyone there will come up and talk to you afterwards and network, and then hopefully start the interview process from there.
Okay. What do you think the students are looking for from those employers? You know, what makes one employer more desirable for the students over another?
I think success rate is the biggest thing. If you have alumni that are working for you that are successful, that have moved up through your company, show opportunity for growth within the company, I know that's something that a lot of students like to see. It helps that if you hire interns and then those interns grow to full time, that's always something that's good for our students to see. It shows that if you work for you, if I intern for you in the fall or summer and then I do well, I can still come on as full time. It's still an opportunity there. So that's the main things that they're looking for, is really growth and then the kind of opportunity that you have to offer.
So are most of these companies sending some of their younger recruiters in to relate? Do you think that's a factor?
It kind of just depends who's running their recruiting department. It's different for every company. There isn't really a better or worse way to go with it. I'd say as long as you can bring alumni, if you have them, younger, older, probably if you have younger ones and older ones, it works the best. That's always great. I mean, that way you can see somebody who like maybe just got done with school, just got done with training, they're kind of new on your sales floor, as well as somebody who's 3-4 years out, had our training here at Western and then is doing very well at Quicken. That's always good to see. But as far as the actual head recruiter that comes, it doesn't really, as long as you know what you're talking about and you know enough about your company and your sales process so you can relate it to our students when they have questions.
Okay, sounds good. So, and both of these dates are available?
They are available. We do bring a different company for either one. So I guess since you're the first company I'm meeting with, you could have your pick whether you wanted to do it in the fall or if you wanted to do it in the spring. Whichever one is better for your hiring season is the one I would suggest.
Which is the better meeting?
I think fall is the better one to go because, again, everyone that comes, no one has an internship or a job lined up yet. That's where when we get to the spring in January, I'd say that number about 25% are already in the interview process or have something lined up already. So you're losing a little there. So my suggestion would be to do the info night in the fall, and then, info night in the fall, and then we could look at doing an employer night in the spring. So that way you're still presence in the spring, you can still hire more from there. That way you still got the info night and the mass appeal in the fall.
Okay.
So how do you feel about that option going forward?
It's interesting. I'm contemplating, Central has an event similar to that, so that's just what's in the back of my mind, but it looks like you might have other options to show me, so we can come back to that.
So that's the first one with info night. After that, we have our employer nights. These are really what students are in it for. We have 6 employer nights for the semester. 5 employers come to them total, and each employer.
So you limit it to 5 employers.
We limit it to 5. We've done 6 in the past, but it's kind of pushing it a little bit on. It's later on a Thursday. It kind of gets late. The employers themselves kind of get tired with it, so we limit it to 5 employers. Each employer gives a 15-minute presentation. There's a Q&A and a networking opportunity afterwards. So it's kind of, you share the spotlight with the other employers. That being said, you're not like really competing with them because most students will talk to every employer, try and get the best for them. So this is really, again, because it goes on throughout the semester, these are the dates that we have tentatively lined up for the fall. It's pretty popular. Again, we get, depending on when, we get 50 to 80 students come out. 50 would be, I would say that's the lowest it ever gets. That's the last, probably the last employer night in the spring once most students have a job lined up already.
Right.
Then our attendance falls. But throughout the fall, it's between 60 and 80 students show up. So it's still very good attendance, very good numbers, and again, most of them are sales students.
And are most of those students are they mostly juniors and seniors? So we've got
primarily juniors and seniors. There are a few sophomores. There's usually 1 or 2 freshmen. It really just depends on how active the students are, how many of them know they want to go into sales at an early date. But pretty much, once everyone hits junior year and they start taking their actual sales classes, it's highly recommended that they come to this. And usually most of them want to because most of them are looking for an internship, if not full-time.
Right.
So you get a lot of juniors and seniors because of that. So what do you think about this as an option opposed to info night?
It just looks like a big time commitment. We're willing to do that, but we got to have a payback. Like anything, you know, our time investment is the same as a money investment in media. So we would just want to make sure we get a payback and our fair share of the spotlight.
Right. You definitely get your fair share of the spotlight, and there's no guarantee about how many students will come up and talk to you. But I mean, if you come in the fall, out of 80 students all looking for a job or an internship, there's definitely going to be a good number of students looking at your opportunity because we have had many students go through that in the past. We've had them go through Quicken Loans and be successful.
Okay.
So because of that, you will get students to come talk to you, and it's up to you from then to screen them and work them through your interview process.
Right. Okay.
I mean, and you mentioned it's kind of a time commitment. Is there an issue there? I mean, this is about 2 hours on Thursday night.
Oh, it's just one more thing we are asking our folks to do.
Mm-hmm.
So, and finding the right, and I think there's probably something about finding the right people that you're putting up front.
Right.
Who's the right face for the company.
Mm-hmm. So, talking about this option opposed to Info Night, how do you feel about it going forward?
I'm definitely interested in Info Night. I'm a little lukewarm on this because it feels like a lot of time and a little bit of a mix. I'm not that hot to be sort of sharing the stage with 4 other active recruiters.
Mm-hmm. One thing I would suggest, I think it would be a good fit for that, is if you did Info Night in the fall, so you get the mass appeal, the most students still looking. You go from there in the fall, and then try an employer night in the spring earlier on, either the first one in January or earlier on in February. That way you are still, like you said, sharing the spotlight, but most students having already seen your presentation at Info Night, they'll be more apt to talk to you because they've already seen you before. A lot of them will come back up and reconnect with you. I think that's a good way to go to get your name out there and get your appeal out there.
That's a good way to think about that. I do need to wrap this up in just a couple minutes. So.
Okay. Yeah. So the only other thing we have from there, we could do a couple of sponsorship opportunities, but we could talk about that later on in the spring if you'd like.
Okay. Would you say these are the best 2 recruiting?
These are definitely, as far as recruiting goes, these are the 2 to go, especially Info Night. You're going to find the biggest as far as however many you're however many you're hiring, you'll most likely see that number come to you at Info Night, and it's up to you then to screen them. So I definitely suggest these 2.
So the challenge and the decision that we're going to make is we're not going to split our focus on 2 universities. We're going to select 1 university as our sort of a recruiting partner. Mm-hmm. 1 student organization, and I have to say, we've talked about both Central and Michigan State. To a certain degree, we've put State aside because I don't think they quite have the same program, but how would you highlight the big difference between Western and Central?
Again, the main difference I would have is going forward being the only actual major in the state of Michigan. It really highlights us being at the top of most of our students. They come to our school, they go through our sales training, and then they go right out into the real world and they're successful almost right away because of us having it as a major. So you're actually getting sales classes, not just 1 or 2 classes, you're getting it for the entire, once you're an upper level student as a junior or senior, you're taking our sales classes, going through rigorous sales training that you can apply right to on the job. I think that alone makes us stand out amongst other universities within the state. But again, having something like the SBMA, we learn a lot from recruiters. We learn a lot from employers. We learn what you're looking for. And through our student organization, we can kind of guide it, and then we come out with the best product going forward as far as sales students.
Okay, that's helpful.
Another thing, the Sales Education Foundation, they're a national organization. It's a nonprofit founded in 2006. They have us ranked in the top in the entire country as far as sales programs. So that's another thing. It's not just me bragging about us. It's an actual national foundation that says we're at the top.
Who was that?
It's the Sales Education Foundation.
Okay. It's good to know. Okay. So this is good. Gives us something to think about.
Okay, so what do you think about these options? Can we go ahead and sign you up for Info Night in the fall?
And the 27th is available for us?
Yes.
Yeah, why don't you put us down for the 27th?
Okay, excellent.
And I think at this time, you don't have the dates. What I'd like to do is secure an employer night for early in spring semester per your recommendation.
Okay, yeah, I can tell you, I can pull up my calendar right now, and I can tell you the dates that it will most likely be. Again, without it being scheduled yet, it's subject to change, but I'm the one scheduling it, so I have the most say there. Let me just pull up the calendar for you. Okay. I believe, because Info Night is, I think it's the last Thursday in January. Actually, okay, so we have an employer night on January 31st, and then the next one's February 7th.
January 31st, okay.
So those are the first 2. Whichever one you feel would be better for you, they're both wide open still.
Let's do January. I think early's better. I think
Right,
I think that's
definitely agree. You'll see the most attendance with that, as well as you'll see the most interested students.
okay.
So we'll go ahead and we'll get you in for the 9/27 info night in the fall, and then we'll go from there. We'll go for the January 31st employer night.
Sounds good.
Okay, so for the info night, the cost is $1,500.
Yeah, I saw that.
That's something you'll get the bill for that afterwards.
Okay.
So with that, after it, I think it's about a week after that night, you get an invoice for it, and then you can pay right to the Fetzer Center.
Okay.
And then for the employer night, it's $85, and that's a check made payable to the Sales and Business Marketing Association.
And do we just give you our check the day we
You can
arrive, or do
we
you...
set up it. We can pay through PayPal online if you like to do it that way, or you can just hand me the check on that date. Either
Okay.
or, whichever works better for you. I'm open to doing.
Okay.
Okay.
We'll just do that with PayPal. Okay.
All right,
Sounds
well,
good.
I really appreciate you taking the time to meet with me today. I think you're going to be more than happy with what you get from Western with us.
Sounds good. Thanks for taking the time, Brian, and coming in.
Yeah, in probably about a month before Info Night, we'll be in touch just to make sure we're still on track and go from there. And then from that, I'll see you at Info Night.
Sounds good. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
I'll walk you out.
Oh, excellent.